Today, I want to make a video about potential red flags for your potential customers. And the reason why I'm bringing this up because yesterday I had just such a customer, and I don't have this customer very often, but I got a call last week from a gentleman, and he got my name from somebody I do work for, and they're moving to town, and they wanted to meet up yesterday, and at the new house. They already have a house, and he wants to build a covered deck in the backyard. Now, so I go over there tomorrow, yesterday, and we go out in the backyard, and he has some drawings already on graph paper, which is good, and that was encouraging. And I think he said he was 78 years old. And so he's got it plotted out. First of all, he wants to get all the material figured up and have Lowe's deliver everything all at once. Now, the backyard is not very big. It's muddy. It's on a slope. There's no place to really put the material. It's a small house, small gate. The gate area is muddy. You have to tromp through the mud to get to the backyard. There's no back alley access or anything. So he wants to buy everything all at once and have it delivered from Lowe's so he can, I guess, save money. I normally go to a lumber shop here in town, and I pick up what I need daily, so I don't have stuff just sitting around, sitting in the mud, potential theft, things like that. So that's the way I like to do things. In this customer, and that's fine. That I get that they think they want to buy everything all at once and save money. But actually, in this town that I live in, the lumber is taken right off the train about 3 blocks away from the hardware store, the lumber yard, and they have another lumber yard here in town. The lumber is usually cheaper than going 20 miles away to Lowe's or Home Depot to get the lumber. You drive right into the shop and they load it up for you. You don't have to load it on a cart. You don't have to do any of that stuff. So, that's the thing. It's just better that way for me. And I get it, the customer's right, but they're not right. They're not right because he's not thinking about where he's going to put all that material. The backyard's not that big. It's on a really bad slope, and any place where they're going to put that material is just going to end up being in the way. Then he says he wants to help. And he claims he's going to be able to help me do this job, and he expects a discount. So that's red flag number 2 right there for me, and that's really red flag number 1, because until he said that, I was like, okay, this might be a decent job. So we talk about the specs of the job and everything he likes, and I take some pictures of his drawings, which are pretty good drawings. And I didn't look at them real closely. I got a picture of them. I go, all right, I'll get in hold of you tomorrow and let you know what I think it's going to be. So this is going to be a labor only. And he's going to buy all the materials and help. So I get home and I start going through the drawings, and I'm replotting the drawings and everything, and I'm noticing things like it's just underbuilt. He's wanting to use composite decking, which I've never used composite decking before on a deck. And so I looked up, manufacturer wants 12-inch centers. Okay, he's got 24-inch centers. Also on his deck, he wants to have 4x4 posts, which are 3.5 by 3.5. And it's a 12 by 16 deck. Well, first of all, in this area, anything over 100 square foot deck, and especially if it's going to be attached to the house, needs a permit. Also, he's also in a neighborhood with HOA covenants, and so I'm looking at the drawing, and he wants to build the canopy area for the roof out of 2x4s. So he's got a real spindly little uprights he wants to put up. He wants to hold it, and then he wants to have a very shallow pitch metal roof over this patio, over this deck. This is Oklahoma. You don't get much snow, but we do get a lot of wind. And by adding spindly little uprights on the corners and building out of 2x4s with a metal roof on top of it, it's going to rack that deck pretty hard all the time. So I beefed it up. I suggested that he use 6x6 posts and use at least around the perimeter of the deck 2x10s, and preferably sandwiched together so they're double thickness to really beef up the deck around the perimeter. And use some interior, they could be 4x4 posts underneath the center of the deck for more contact points, so that it would just have more support underneath. And also run at minimum a 2x8 floor system underneath the decking. Well, I go back over there yesterday afternoon. I was over there in the area, so I knock on the door, I go inside, and I tell them, all right, I have some concerns about the deck. I really think you need to beef up the posts, at least on the corners, maybe all of them all the way around. It's the corner post on the house already has a 6x6 post, so that would be, more aesthetically pleasing just to have it tie into the house a little bit. I told him he needed more pitch on his roof, and that he needed to go tighter than 24-inch centers for his flooring, for his floor joists. And he was adamant. He did not want to do any of that. The house he just moved from, he already built something just like what he's drawn out, and it was fine for the last 2.5 years. And so that's when I went ahead and made my decision. I said, okay, well, you can do anything you want, but if you're going to hire me to do this, then my fee is going to be X amount of dollars. And I probably have about $2,000 to $2,500 extra, because he wants to help and do it that way. Because I can see what he really wanted was to hire somebody to pay hourly to do what he wants. And that's fine, except for I'm not that guy, because I don't have time to go in there and make changes in the midstream of something while he's sitting there under designing a deck for his area. So he wrote down the amount, and it's really probably, once he hires a crew, it's going to be about what a crew would cost. And he figured out what my hourly rate would be, and he was like, well, that's going to be X amount of dollars an hour. And I already told him, after like 6 hours a day, I'm done. I'm not going to try to push more than that, because I get tired, and the other 2 or 3 hours is not much is going to get done. So I'm getting old. I'm going to go home, rest, come back strong the next day, give everything I have for 6 or 7 hours, go home. So probably about a 2-week job. So he starts figuring up the hourly rate, and he's like, well, I would think that, $50 an hour. So I'm sorry, but that's just the way it's going to be. I've already raised my prices like 3 times in the last 4 years, just out of necessity. Just realizing the cost and the expenses of just being there for people, being available. Not to mention, if I take on his job, how many jobs am I going to have to turn down for the next 2 weeks, where I am making that money? So the moral of the story is you got to have realistic expectations. The customer needs to have realistic expectations. And I went over there and I was honest with him. He's got what I would think that anybody would tell him, hey, your design is too weak for this state, this wind, where you're living, the ground surface that those houses are built on. Not the greatest brand new little track house neighborhood. I know how long that dirt's been disturbed and how quickly they're throwing those houses up, and I know it's just going to be a mud fest back there. Not to mention, going to be at least 15 to 20 post holes, and 8 of them are going to be for need to be for 6x6 posts, and that's just a lot of work, and to do it right. And I'm willing to do it right, and I'm not willing to do it how he wants it done, so that 3 months later, when something goes wrong, he's calling me and saying, "Hey, I didn't do this job right," and he wants me to come fix it. So the moral of the story is, have realistic expectations of your customers, and don't be afraid to let a customer go. Yeah, I would have liked to have built the deck over there. I was looking forward to it, but there was just a couple things, just those couple red flags. And I'm sure there's more. I mean, I could already tell that he would probably just be in the way more than anything. And he'd probably end up hurt. Because usually when I try to work with somebody, uh, I'm not used to working with other people. And, well, to be honest, they end up getting hurt. I'm used to doing things by myself, and I make adjustments. I grab the middle of the board, I don't grab the end. And if I grab the end board, then I'm probably dragging them along, and it's just not good. And I just don't want that liability on me or him. I could get hurt. But the thing that is, so with the red flag of him wanting his way, thinking his way was good enough, and really because I'm a handyman, but I don't charge like a handyman. Not anymore. I have in the past, and that's why I don't do this anymore. Because I'm getting older, my time is more important to me than the money. Yeah, I need to make money, but if I'm going to work, I need to make money. And I told them straight out, that's just the way it's going to be. If you want to hire me, this is how much it's going to cost. You can probably find somebody to do it cheaper, and that's okay. But right now, personally, you can hire me at this price, and if you don't hire me, I'm okay with it, because I don't want to get involved with it without making it worth my while. And I'm not giving him a discount, because I'm pretty sure he's not going to work 6 hours a day like I am. He might be there for 6 hours a day, slowing me down, asking me why I'm doing this, asking me this, doing that, and it's just not worth it. So for a few $1,000s, I got my head clear, went to bed last night knowing that I'm probably not going to get this job, and that's why I priced it that way. And if I do get the job, then I'll just muddle through it, and I'll know I'm going to make some money. And turns out I can always give them a discount at the end. But the thing that is, I can't ask for more at the end if it's a big pain in the butt. So guys, if you do handyman work at all, you probably already know this. But you younger guys, it took me a long time to figure this out. You can work your butt off and get your bills paid. But when you're 57 years old, you're going to be tired, and you're still going to have bills. So do everything you can to set some money aside and make good money doing what you do. Because right now, there's a bunch of handyman in this town, and there's a bunch of old houses in this town. But one thing I do hear from a lot of people is it's hard to get somebody to show up. And I show up. I showed up when I said I would. I showed up a few hours later to explain to him the situation. So, number one, don't be afraid to overprice something if you don't want to do it. Or if you do want to do it, but you see there's going to be some problems. And number one for me was him saying that he wanted to help. Not saying that he wanted to help. He was going to help, and he expected money off. That doesn't pay my bills. So that right there tacked on a little bit extra. And this is a word of advice to you boomers out there. I'm I'm at I'm at this level with you guys controlling everything. Everything. And you guys have voted all y'all's benefits to yourself. And Gen X and the millennials and Gen Z have been hung out to dry, and we've got our politicians that we can see. You know, the thing of it is, and I know this for a fact, that 30, 40, 50 years ago, this country was sold out to the lowest bidder. And we're seeing the effects of it right now. These people bought houses for $30 or $40, $50,000 in 1958. And now they're retiring and selling their homes, and they're moving to this state and living like kings, and they don't want to pay anybody to do anything. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care if he has a deck. Personally, if it was me, I'd build a deck out there and put a table out there with an umbrella. Because they're not going to spend much time out there on that deck. The only thing they have to look at is a developing neighborhood. It's not even that great of a scenery. The houses are like 15, maybe 10 feet apart from each other, and they're little shotgun houses. It's a ridiculous little neighborhood that's popped up the last couple of years. And I happen to know from other people who've started to buy houses out there, saw how the foundations were poured, and saw how fast these houses are thrown up. As a matter of fact, I have another lady who lives out there in that house. When she turns her bathroom light on, the dining room light flickers. And just other things like that in the neighborhood. It's a crappy little built neighborhood. They're just throwing them up like crazy. I would rather live in this 90-year-old house than one of those new houses for sure. So that's what I'm saying is, don't let the fear of not making money scare you from bidding extra on a job that you see is going to be a problem. And as a matter of fact, hopefully he doesn't call me, he calls somebody else. I hope he finds somebody for a couple $1,000s less. It's not going to bother me, because I'm not going to be doing that job dealing with him. And that's okay. So, all right, until next time, talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.